All right, so even before we get started, I have to apologize for not having wine served. This is
nope.
the first episode that we've ever filmed without the wine, but I promise you we will see more wine before
I'm a little
this
dry, but I realize we're getting more later. So
yes,
that's
awesome,
perfect.
awesome. Welcome to another episode of Wine and Design. We are here at the Hotel Vintage in downtown Seattle. I'm here with Myk Becknell from Leyes Construction.
Leyes Construction?
Leyes Construction.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I botched that already. He's here for the cabin credit this evening at Nine Hats Winery, and he has the distinction, to my knowledge, of coming the furthest for any of our dozen-plus cabin credits so far. He drove all the way over from the Portland area. Right?
Portland area, about Portland, Oregon, about 3.5 hours south, yes.
So because of that, as you guys see, I'm wearing the brand new 2018 VintageView t-shirt, and we are going to gift the second VintageView t-shirt of 2018 to you.
Well, thank you.
As
Appreciate
thank you.
that.
You see what we did? We spelled the word art in wine bottles. Really clever, right?
Art.
So thank you for joining us.
Very welcome.
I'm really excited to get into some cool topics. We haven't had a lot of designers on the show yet, and so that we can get really kind of geeky into that world.
Geek away.
Geek away. So Seattle, I know Seattle is a very modern aesthetic city. Glass buildings. You see all those uber contemporary homes. You are over in the Portland area, Vancouver, Washington area.
Correct. That's correct.
What's the design style like there? Is it Seattle? Is it different?
It's a little bit different. In the Portland area, they tend to be more of a transitional type of style, but they also use their big thing right now, and it's been for a while, is to use locally sourced, regionally sourced reclaimed material for building materials such as sidings and tables and things like that. Anything reclaimed and vintage, they just love that.
So probably a little dialed back on the modern aesthetic from Seattle, but still some of those elements that you
absolutely
see here.
yes,
Okay.
and they really like locally sourced items. Something with a story is very important to my clients. So
now, you personally, what is your aesthetic?
It's kind of evolved over the years, but I tend to like modern styling, which is basically mid-century modern.
Okay.
I would think arts and crafts, Frank Lloyd Wright, that tends to be my style, but it's evolved over time as well, and I've integrated a lot of the styles from the Portland area into my own. So we
name dropped Frank Lloyd Wright in a company video that we did, and I had to educate a few of our team members, and they're like, "Who's Frank?" So your modern aesthetic, do you see that throughout your personal home?
Some of it, yes. Yeah. Although I tend to be our home design actually is more transitional, so I've done work with that. I've instituted that into our design. We do have a fair number of wine racks in our kitchen, so yes.
Are they VintageView wine racks?
They are not yet, but they're being switched out. So
everyone here, if you email him and say, what are you doing? Why is there no VintageView in your kitchen yet?
Oh yes.
Little word association, just because a lot of people, and frankly I struggle with these terms a little bit.
Of course.
Design style. When I say traditional, what comes to mind?
Traditional would be, I'm trying to think of an image for people. Traditional would be an attorney's office, maybe a nicer Irish pub, or possibly think of any set of The Sopranos.
Okay, fair. Transitional, a term that you just used a little bit with what the Portland aesthetic.
Transitional. Transitional is actually a good combination of traditional and contemporary, and it takes the best of both worlds and brings it together. What really started the whole transitional movement was probably Martha Stewart, although that has evolved tremendously since then. And there's a lot more variance to that depending on what region of the country you're in. So, contemporary. I would say contemporary would be think of the TV show The OC. That's the one that most people kind of associate with that very contemporary, Southern California lifestyle. So you also see those things in New York, Seattle, as well as in Florida. So it's all over the country.
Is there a difference between contemporary and modern?
Yes, and some people don't realize there's a major distinction. Modern or mid-century modern tends to be a specific time frame, from maybe about 1910 to about 1960. Okay. And when I say mid-century modern, think of old James Bond movies. Yep. That would be very much like that. And also Frank Lloyd Wright, arts and crafts.
Exactly.
Bauhaus.
So there's an actual thing where contemporary is a style that's constantly evolving and moving towards.
Contemporary basically is now what's happening now. So you have lots of open spaces, cutting-edge materials, appliances, fixtures, and things like that. That's considered to be contemporary, and contemporary moves forward, at all times. So,
client comes to you, blank
yes,
slate.
yes.
I don't even care what style home. Just
doesn't matter. Yeah.
You can tell me the style.
Okay.
And they say I want a wine display. What is your instinct of like where you'd love to see it?
Well, it's always been my practice to bring wine collecting and wine, just wine enjoying out of the cellars and into the home. So I've always recommended they bring this right to the nerve center of the house, and that'd be the kitchen.
Gotcha.
That's where my wine display is at, and I try to institute that in all my designs if possible.
And that's a really cool idea.
No matter how large or small. So.
Yeah, because they can put a neat display in their kitchen, right?
Absolutely.
And it can be their go-to wines. And if they're a serious collector, then you can also do like a secondary room where there's like longer-term storage. If they have those needs as well, and then you have the best of both worlds: fun, visual, interactive, and then
a mudroom would be that way. Or I get this all the time. I don't have space in my kitchen or in my lower level to put a wine rack or a wine display. And I said, well, do you know that old desk area that the builders designed for you back in the 90s or 80s? That's about a 5 or 6 foot area. Perfect for a wine rack.
Put a lot of bottles in there if you choose to.
Absolutely.
A couple questions. So I sent a couple of questions his way.
Yes.
And now we're going off script. One is a softball.
Okay.
The other one I'm going to really hold you to it. So
bring it on.
See. So go-to bottle of wine.
Go-to bottle of wine.
Since we're not drinking wine here, what do you wish we were drinking here?
Oh wow, I love a good Tempranillo. That is by far my favorite variety.
It's like a Spanish Tempranillo.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And now the intentionally loaded question.
Here it comes.
You service the Washington State and the Oregon State areas because you're kind of right along the border. Mm-hmm. Which state makes better wine?
Which state makes better wine? Well,
you have to answer.
That's a tough one. I'm going to say to my Washington friends, Washington does.
I would actually tend to agree.
And the reason I say that is that Oregon is known for its Pinots. Yeah. And I love Pinots, but Washington tends to have a wider variety of wines that they're known for, both regionally and grapes that they outsource, from other areas of the state. And there's such a wide variety of wines and great wines that come out of Washington.
Fair. And sorry, Oregon, but if you want to change your mind, send us free wine.
Love you, Oregon.
And we will drink as much of that free wine as you send us, and then we'll see where we land.
Absolutely.
So that does it for another episode of Wine Design. Thank you so much for coming down. We're going to link up some links with all of his bio and information to get in touch and just hire this guy to design your house in Portland and Vancouver, Washington area.
Absolutely.
I was just going to add the Washington.
Absolutely.
So thank you. See you soon.
Thanks, Jacob. See you now. Bye.